If you clicked on this video, I want to say thank you, first of all, because you know that my intention with this video isn't to, show you a video on how to quick stuff like self-improvement videos. That's not the purpose of that video. Although I know that people say when you put out videos, you should always make it about the viewer, but I want to make it about me because I've lived most of my life trying to only give what people want when they don't really know my true colors. And all I want to tell you here, the purpose of this whole video is I want to tell you my life story because you might relate to it. My whole life hasn't been, butterflies and rainbows. Actually, my whole life has been completely different than that. I grew up in a country, in a third world country, Egypt. I'm from there, born there, lived there a lot of years. I was born to two not healthy parents. They were healthy, but their relationship wasn't healthy. Fights, arguments, money issues, the typical. I lived most of my life in Egypt without a father figure. He wasn't really there most of my life. It was mainly my mom with the crown playing both roles. And it was me, her, my younger brother, who is now, at the time of recording this video, is 13 years old. We lived most of our lives, just us three together, in a simple house, not a big house. We were not rich. Actually, we struggled to put food on the table. Sometimes, not all the time. My mom would constantly put on the food on the table. She would pay for my education. She would always take care of me. She risked a lot of her money to grant me a better future. Now, for the most part, that was our life. My father lived most of his life in United Arab Emirates, trying to make a living. He lived there for over 12 years. And within those 12 years, we suspected that all that he was doing was making sure he gets a good job so he puts food on the table. When it turns out he was married the entire time. Not for the whole 12 years, but for the most time he lived there, he was married. And he was cheating on my mother way before he even got a second marriage. And the way we found out, actually, was it was 2016. He came to Egypt. That's what I mean. He came to Egypt. And we always had suspicions that my dad might have known someone, but I confirmed that actually. I went through my dad's phone and I took screenshots. I sent it to myself and I waited for the day he would leave back to UAE so I could show my mom and prove her everything. And when I did, I felt horrible because that's when my mother didn't feel happy. For the most part, I grew up in a very stressful house. My routine would consist of going to school, coming back, not doing much. Next day going to school, coming back, not doing much. And that was on and on and on for weeks. And on Fridays we would have family gatherings. And then maybe once at the end of each semester, I would go out with a couple of friends. That was my life at the time I lived in Egypt. Bear in mind, this whole time we're still struggling with money. My mom would always pay for my education, not my father. Although you would expect the father figure to pay since he's living in a country who gives fair shots to everyone who comes there. 2017 comes in and things changes. Since, I blew the whistle for my father and I told my mom that he was married and we found out, he brought us to the country in 2017. And that was a big shift because we're meeting new people, we're getting into a new culture. We don't know anybody, no one knows us, and the language there that they speak was completely English, and at the time my English was absolutely horrible because I lived most of my life only speaking Arabic. And this wasn't the first time we got to UAE. I mean, I lived throughout kindergarten in United Arab Emirates, and I've been to UAE here and there multiple times, but then that completely got cut off and I lived a large portion of my life in where I originally was born. We thought 2017 would be the start of a big change in our lives, when that was actually when everything started to go to shit. That's where I became very mentally sick. I wasn't happy. It took me a while to make friends, and when I made friends I was so happy, but my mom didn't really like the idea because they were in a different culture and I was completely different than them. But at the end of the day, she did let me hang out with those friends, and I made friends from all around the world, and we would all speak English, and my English throughout the years got better and better and better. And in 2019 my father told my mom she had to go back to Egypt because financial problems, and I was given the chance. I was told, Yusuf, you have the option. Would you want to stay here or go back with your mom? Which I chose to stay. And I know people will be like, you left your mom? It's horrible. And I know I was selfish. I was envious of my friends. I wanted to live that life I don't want to go back to the boring life. I wanted to be like my friends. I wanted to party like them, dress like them, talk like them, travel like them, shop like them. And doing that more and more and more got me into more and more trouble. I stayed in UAE. My mom left. Horrible day. I felt lost because that day in my head I'm like, my mom raised me her whole life and I chose to stay. And that's when my mental health started to go down. Like down. 2020 comes by. COVID happens. During COVID, I was in full quarantine, not allowed to see anyone, do anything. My mom and brother back here in my home country were living somewhat of a normal life, nothing. But in the meantime, while I was in UAE, my father would fight all day, every day. We'd even get into fist fights sometimes because we disagreed on many things. Staying with my father made me develop the habit of being anxious, stressed, and overwhelmed and worthless all the time. I would get panic attacks, I would bang my head on walls, I would get stressed, I would punch walls, and then I would hope for the day that me and my friends would hang out again so I can just put a smile on my face. When COVID started to ease off, I had a problem with school because my father wasn't paying tuition, so I was forced to repeat 2 years in 1 year. I was given a fair shot by a school. Like, okay, no problem, he can just have 2 years in 1 year, no problem. Bear in mind, at the time, I was at a British school, private school. You may think we're rich, but actually private schools are the only schools you can go to in UAE. Like, they are the most spread schools. Now, I thought, sure, I could give it a try and try and repeat 2 years in one, but that made my mental health much worse. And I remember one day, at the time my father was, I would consider my father somewhat successful. Out of the 13 years my father lived in UAE, he only saw success in 1 year. 1 year, in that 1 year, my father took me to the place where he does all his work. And we stayed there for 30 minutes. And the reason why we stayed there for 30 minutes because he wanted Egyptian to come by, who's from my home country, pick up medals and start working so he can point at him and tell me my future is way worse than the guy over there. And that day I was done. I think that belief stuck with me for a good while. Panic attacks kept going on and on and on, anxiety, stress, and I would only be happy when I was around friends. 2021 comes by, and bear in mind, throughout the entire year of 2021, I'm still in that mental state of anxiety, depression, stress, panic attacks, negative thinking, negative emotions, everything. 2021 comes by and I told my dad I want to go see my mom and brother because I haven't seen them long time, and I see them. He has some empathy and sympathy for me to actually go and see my family. I went to Egypt and I felt that ease, you know what I mean? Like I was finally away from my father. Although my emotions and my mental health wasn't still intact together, my mental health was in shambles still, but seeing my mom and my brother for the first time in, I think it was since 2019 basically, I felt so much at ease. And this whole time I would count the days to see when I would go back because I did not want that day to come. And bear in mind, when my mother left in 2019, I moved in with my father and my stepmother. I've got a brother from my actual mom and 2 half siblings from my stepmother. So in total I've got 3 siblings. And when I went back to UAE after my vacation in Egypt, everything was going to shit. My father, no money. When I mean no money, I'm genuinely not joking. The only reason he was able to bring me back by selling his car and taking some of the money to get me a ticket. And I didn't really know what was going on behind the scenes. But later did I know that everything was really bad. And the only way we were able to survive was by borrowing money from other people. We lived the whole time borrowing money and not paying rent, nor electricity bills, no water bills, actually nothing. We were paying nothing. And I remember we would wake up days and days and they would cut off electricity and water. And I remember I'll go tell my dad because he would be out. My dad will go out, just sit somewhere to get his mind off, which is stupid, you know what I mean? Like, sure, you should get your mind off, but can't you see what we're going through? I remember I'll call him and be like, Dad, there's no electricity in the house. Hello? And he would scream, what? You kidding? And what my dad would do is that he would basically just call them up, call the company up or whatever, call the owners of the place we stayed in to turn it back on, and he will pay next Monday. He had something for Mondays and Tuesdays. He would always say next Monday, next Tuesday. And this whole time while this was happening, I decided to get into my self-help progress. I wanted to do the inner work. That's when I kind of fell in the the loop of meditation and yoga and all that type of stuff. And I got into that because my panic attacks were really bad, really, really bad. And my beliefs about myself were bad. My confidence was bad. I saw everybody of my friends living a happy life while I'm suffering. I got into meditation, and then my mental health started to actually like get better and better and better when I was doing the inner work. And I was so happy with the progress that I was making despite the situations we're going through. I put myself first before anything else. And I thought that, that was gonna keep going up. I thought I was like, yes, I've got it. I'm doing the inner work. I'm gonna turn out really good in the future. Everything from end of 2021 till mid 2022 was exactly what I just described. No water, no electricity, no bills, no nothing. No food, nothing. And in 2022, since I'm a Muslim, Ramadan came by, and this year was the worst year of my life. You wanna know how we were able to actually break our fast in Ramadan? Well, let me tell you how. We would take food from camps who serve the workers who don't have any money. Basically, homeless shelters, food section. We would eat from that. Every week my father would go pick up bags, free food by the way, which is good. You see, it was free food, and I'm not gonna say no to free food. I love free food. It was chicken and rice, of course I would take it, but felt horrible. I remember some of my friends knew what I was going through and what my family situation was in, and they would invite me for dinner during the time we would break our fast. The only thing that would keep me smiling during that time was my friends, and I loved them to death. I would always go to sleep worrying about where my father would end up the next day. I didn't know how this was gonna end. Was this gonna end with a happy story or a sad story? I don't know what the fuck was gonna happen, but I kept doing the inner work because I knew that my mental health is way more important than everything. I would always try and find the good and the bad things. I would meditate for 15 minutes a day, and I would get into a deep state of relaxation where I just try and feel gratitude and emotional state of love and gratitude so I can elevate throughout my day. And that's what I was doing most of the time. I was journaling as well, writing down my thoughts. That was the main reason that I was still like somewhat of intact, mentally intact, because if I didn't do that inner work, I probably would have killed myself by then. Now in 2022, a big shift happened. Bear in mind, my education wasn't going that well because my father didn't have the money to pay anything. He had zero money. No one was able to help. So my education was basically gone to shit. And in 2022, a big thing happened, which I'm not allowed to explain yet until I get confirmation, but bad event happened on 23rd of May 2022. Something really bad happened, and that day I was broken. I was like, okay, wow, this happened. And the first person I rushed to was, I tried to call my mom first, she didn't answer. Tried to call my grandma, she didn't answer. Called my best friend, who answered, and he made sure he stayed with me the whole day to make sure I'm okay. From the 23rd till the 1st of June, all I did was my friends would just call me and they would pay for everything that I did. We're going out, they would pay for my food because they didn't want to see me left out. They would pay for my cinema tickets, anything you could expect. They took care of me because they knew I was going through a horrible state by then. And on the 1st of June, I was sent back to my home country. No money, nothing, just me and a bag of suitcase. Now, you'd expect that I'll come back my home country and live a much better life now. I'm with my family. No, me and my mom would fight every day about my future. Every single day we would fight. No mercy. Shouting, screaming, whatever you could think of. Nothing was working out. Although it's not my fault. It's not my mom's fault. But during my time with fighting with my mom, I came to a realization is that no one is gonna come and save me. Not my mom, not my brother, not my cousins, not my family, not my dad for sure, not my stepmom. No one was gonna come and save me. And I knew that whatever happens from this moment forward is completely my responsibility, and I kind of took that up, that big responsibility. There was a time when I was still in UAE, I was riding in the car with my father, and he, made me make a promise. He said, Yusuf, if anything happens to me, I want you to take care of your siblings. And I was like, do you mean like just all of them? He's like, yeah, all of them. And at that day, I felt responsible for everybody. Now my father cannot help or do anything. It's now me. It's like everything was taken away from him, the responsibility, and it was given to me. And every day going to sleep with that, I felt like shit. I didn't know what to do. Not only I have to take care of my mom now, I have to take care of my mom, brother, and other half siblings. It's a lot of people. Bear in mind, I'm only 18 years old. world. So, but I knew I had to do something because, you know, just sitting around and doing nothing is not gonna help. I kept doing my inner work because I wanted to get back in, you know, in the mental lab of just getting my shit together. I've tried to do a couple of things to get my money up. Some things work, some things don't work. But I know as long as I continue, something will work, because I believe that all that I'm going through currently, as the time that I'm speaking at the moment, I'm still going through everything. And the reason for this video is that I don't want to, like, you know, give you tips or advice. I want you to hear my story because maybe you can relate to it. Maybe you're going through problems. Maybe not as the same as the problems that I had, but I know you're going through problems. And I know you want to relate to someone. I know you just don't want to watch someone who just talks about, here are some quick tips to, like, I don't know, become a better version. I wanted to do that, but then I was like, this is not real. This is not me being authentic. I wanna tell you my story, because I know you can resonate with it, and I want to let you know that you're not alone. I swear to God, you're not alone. I'm going through a lot of problems in my daily life. My story is fucked up. Divorced parents, no money, education fucked, no clear future path. I don't know what I'm gonna be. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to provide for my mom, my brother, and my other siblings. Currently, that's what I'm doing, actually. I'm taking care of my mom, my brother, and other siblings. I'm taking care of them, believe it or not, me. And sometimes, although it's stressful and it gives me anxiety, but sometimes I love it that, you know, I never imagined that one day I would take care of my people. I would try and make them happy. Whenever I would get money here and there, I would give them something that would put a smile on their face, tell them that everything is okay. Although me, myself, I would smile, not that often, but I would make sure that they would smile more. I would always make sure that whenever there was a really bad month for my mom, I would step in and, you know, put the food on the table. That's what I'm currently trying to do. I'm trying to put food on the table for me and my family. I don't have the money, I don't have the cars, I don't have the big mansions. That's not really my goal. I'll tell you what, my father was, in 2020, my father was somewhat of a really successful man. He was running a business. He was running a successful business. A steel company, not steel, like stealing steel, you know, metal. He was very successful. And his downfall came a year after because of stupid decisions that he's made. And now I have to make the comeback and bring the family back up top. All I want is to see my people around me happy. Although I want to be happy as well, I know that whatever I'm going through now is for my ultimate good, and I know it's going to set me on a path for success. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know in what form. But I know it's going to happen, and that's what matters here. I want you to just look around and be grateful. For whatever problems you're currently going through, I want you to be grateful. Doesn't matter what you're going through. If you have a roof above your head, food on the table, your parents are doing somewhat financially okay, be grateful. Doesn't matter where you come from, just be grateful. And I want you to know that if everything in your life is going bad, don't blame anything. Don't try and have anyone else make your future better. Take the responsibility and make your future better. No one's gonna come and save you, just like no one's gonna come and save me. I hope maybe this story gets shown to a lot of people, because I want people to feel that they're not alone. And from now on, every single post that I'm gonna make is completely about my life and my experience, and how you can overcome the same problems that I have went through and currently going through. My current daily routine is waking up, trying to make some money, go to gym, come back, meditate, read. That's currently my routine. I don't know about your routine. I'm sure you have somewhat of the same routine, but different timings and different structures. So yeah, if you've stuck around for this long, I want to say God bless you, honestly. And I know if you watched all the way through, then you're probably going through some bad things as well. But I want to tell you something. Everything will work out just the way you want it to. You just have to put in the work and believe in yourself and believe in your dream and believe that God is on your side no matter what. So yeah, that's it. Be happy. Put a smile on your face, and I love you.